Hi everyone, it's Christina from Christina's Art Corner. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. Today is going to be my completed pages video. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me move these to an empty spot on my side desk here. And let's see what I got into. Okay, some quickie stats here. I worked out of, look, I put 12, 13, 12, 13. I had to count my books again. So I had 13 books out this month. 2 are whips, and I have 12 completed pages, and I destashed a book. So that's how those stats worked out. And I'll just put this to the side. And we'll start off with a whip in Dramenvanger by Tomislav Tomic. I was trying to keep that on there, but that washi tape does not want to stay. This is a buddy color with dreams in color, dream in color, and bubble of coloring. So I have based it with the Neo Color 2s, and then I'm also going in with, yeah, that's not going to stay, is it? The Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua dual markers and the Kuretake Zig brushables, which are these 2 types of markers here that I'm using. So far I just have the 2 greens, which I'm working on over here to base. So yeah, that'll carry into April. So you will see this again. So that's Dramenvanger by Tomislav Tomic. Here is the book that I destashed. It was Cottage Core Galore by Katie Vey. This was the palette that I picked out. This is the swatches that I did, and then this is the page. So yeah, I'd say a couple things happened. First of all, I went in with water-based at first. Yeah, I did water-based in the background, and I thought I probably wouldn't do this page, so I would just go ahead and use alcohol markers, and I started off using this color here. I thought, I don't know how that's going to blend too well with the others. Anyway, I think it just wound up being a tough palette, too limited perhaps, and I think I just wasn't feeling it, to be honest. You know, on some pages where you're just absolutely excited to color, and better work comes out of it many times. And if you're kind of blasé, you know, it's a kind of a repeating pattern kind of thing, which I don't necessarily like. But anyway, I looked through the book again, and I'm like, you know what? This paper is super, super thin, and I'm just going to go ahead and destash the book. So I'm not a proponent of tearing out pages, but this one was necessary. This was kind of like, okay, I'm done. I'm not spending my time like this. I was not enjoying myself. I was using unfortunately used like a quarter of a glaze pen already on these ladybugs. And I didn't feel like shading. I didn't feel like, yeah, and I got too dark too quick. So that's what happened with that book. It's in my journaling stuff now. And then I have this whip that I've carried over now for a couple months. This Desert Fox 4 Seasons by Sogumi. And that's this one here. I have so little left to do on it. I don't know why I wasn't motivated. I did do some work, but I still have these snowflakes left and a little more shading. But yeah, it's such a cute book. But I just need to finish it up. So I will carry this into April. And in Reptiloids, I do this book each month, Dusty Coloring. And we did 2 pages this month because it was our birthday month. We couldn't decide between 2 pages, and I was just like, why don't we do both? And so we did. And I have my little color swatches here for this. Here, anyway, so this is the one that I did. And I used Ohuhu alcohol markers, and then I used some Prismacolors, and that was along the border mainly, and some shadowing. And then I used Jelly Roll Metallic Silver, which is around the clouds And here his horn, down here on his little suit here. And I also used the Ohuhu metallic yellow glitter yellow. And I'll put mine to the side and put Dusty's here. I love her page. She did a great job. This looks very realistic on hers. And I went with funky coloring, as I do. So that was our first one. Take that tag out now. And then, I do say that a lot. This is the other one that we did. This one here. So I used Ohuhu Copic markers, Prismacolor, Jelly Roll, Ohuhu glitter, and Posca. Kind of used the same mediums on this. And you'll see I have all the glitter down here on all the metal elements. And then also outlining the curtain. And I did something different on these curtains. I don't know how really great it turned out. And I'm pushing my pages over here because I know that's where the light will reflect. Let me see if you can see it. If I don't do that. There we go. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, I wound up using a Prismacolor white to kind of go over the alcohol marker area that I did. Yeah, it just was something different to do, different look. And so that is how mine turned out. And here is Dusty's. I love hers. We love doing these together because we're always amazed at how different our pages are. But yeah, thank you so much, Dusty, every month for doing these pages with me. It's so nice because they're just the right size and they're funny. So it's a good laugh when we do these. This was Valentine's Day. So yeah, those are the two that we did in there in Reptiloids, and that's by Basil Seiko. The next one is my Mythographic Menagerie by Fabiana Attanasio. This was one that I chose on my own because remember I had the spinner wheel. By the way, that book that I destashed was a spinner wheel selection. So it's good to know, good to know. Anyway, I wanted to join in with Julian Annette Art in the Mythographic Scavenger Hunt, and the prompt was fish, and also Elm Colors Mythographic hashtag as well. And so I have all of these things here. Let me make sure. For this one, I went for this 475, which was also a hashtag. Just for anyone that wasn't here for my plans video, I go through and mark down all the hashtags that I want to participate in. And this one was the CW Palette Pisces 25. It was my birthday month, Pisces. Very enticing. That's Coloring with Kate. And she said to use the Sarah Renee Cube 475. And that is what I did. I stuck to those colors there. And I, excuse me, I go ahead and do a sheet. I go into the Sarah Renee Clark Companion and picked out the Ohuhu markers. I added a Copic Prismacolor that she suggests for this. And I have to deviate every now and then from it. This one was pretty close. Sometimes you need to go up a level or down a level. But anyway, that was the palette. And what I used was obviously the Ohuhu and Copic markers, alcohol markers. And I just have this taped here so that I can take pictures with them flat. So I used Distress Oxides and alcohol drops. So everywhere you see these types of bubbles with just the white Posca, that's where I dropped the alcohol after using the Distress Oxide. And I also threw in a couple of polychromos. When I looked at the Prismacolors, they weren't, you see this blue here? It was much lighter than this color here, which is a dark teal. It's more bluey. I did wind up using this PB11 which is what it said to use for this, right? So I did have some blue. I was okay to deviate a little bit from it. But that's why I wound up also bringing in some polychromos and the greens. And then I used Sparkling Magical Watercolor, Metallic Watercolor, sorry, lost my words, here. So you can see this shifting paint here, Posca White. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. So I think it turned out cute. Have lots of little, you know, glitter on here just to give it a little oomph. I wound up using the pencils to kind of outline and shade inside the bubbles where the buildings are. And I just think it's so cute. So yeah, that was my page from Mythographic. And that was a lot of fun. It was a good page to do, and that was an Untouched book. So I'm very happy with that. Next one is Fanciful Dogs and Secret Places, and this is by Hanna. This was one that the spinner picked for me, and I can take this washi tape off because it's no longer an untouched book. If it wants to come off, maybe. That is the trouble sometimes of putting washi tape on here, which I don't do anymore, by the way, because I've had a couple of rips, and I think it's like the heating, the cooling that happens in the house, like reactivates the adhesive. All right, so let's see what I did in here. I did this little one here. This is inspired by my dog Shmoo, and I'll put a picture over here so that you can see him. I did do more brown than he actually has in his body, just to have some other colors besides black and white. He does have like brown around his eyes and some patches. But yeah, it's as close to a likeness as I could do. And I wound up using this palette and then just a couple extras. I needed a green for the greenery here. And then I used a metallic teal. See if you can see that on the candles. And again, this is how I laid this one out. This wound up being a Cali Art green that I used down here. And that's how I got my shading and things, which I didn't wind up doing a whole lot in the shading area because I just didn't feel it needed it. And so we have the alcohol markers, Prismacolor pencils, Posca White and white gesso. I had to wind up using a white gesso to get this white enough. And then Spectrum Noir metallic flip marker, that's in here. The stickles over the flames. It's a lot of stickles. I had to let that one dry overnight. And Jelly Roll Silver. I have that in different areas. And then Posca yellow. I used Posca markers for inside here before I put the stickles on there. And then Super Golden marker. What did I put on there? I can't read my own writing. Super Golden marker would have been here, I believe, the blue. And then I have the Jelly Roll Silver in the hat. And some Posca yellow acrylic marker. Yeah, so anyway, this was a fun page, and in honor of my boy Shmoo, who's being quiet and good right now, that was an Untouched book. Another one down, folks. Another one down. I have separate shelves now for my touched books and untouched books. That's why I don't need to use my tape anymore, my washi tape. All right. Fairy Shampoo. This boy was a labor of love. This was a book that the spinner chose. And I'm going to show you the original page. I wound up doing a lot to this page. So I started out wanting to do a muted palette with the Harmonious, Castle Art Harmonious set. And quickly, I did not care for how that was turning out. I had the Gold Faber Aqua Dual markers did not do great on this paper. And so by the time I got into the hair, when I had used the golden, sorry, not the golden, but the Gold Faber Aqua Dual markers, I wound up seeing that the paper can't handle it. So I wound up using black gesso, use this Liquitex black gesso, and I basically took off her headdress and all the flowers that were down here. And then I just left her this way. Originally what happened, I didn't like how the face turned out. It was looking really waxy, and there were a couple points where like there was no more tooth. It just, this whole page from beginning to end wound up being a disaster. I guess in the end, not totally, but anyway, so then I gessoed this part of her and all of this. I was only left with hair and this on the page. And so then I thought, okay, now what? Well, I went in and I had a paper towel I showed in my update video that was saturated with pigments. And then I wound up going over it with this holographic or mega glitter Mod Podge. And then I stuck it. I cut it out to size and collaged that on there. And meanwhile, this was all like a mess. I had not put the metallic flip markers on it yet, and it was just so splotchy. The water-based markers did not work well at all, which was a surprise to me because it's thicker paper. So in doing all of that, I wound up with some texture after the gesso, and I could have sanded it and done another coat, but I would, you know, already I was worried I wouldn't finish this page. And so I wound up deciding, okay, what can I put over the gesso? So I made a mock-up. I used some watercolor paper, light watercolor paper, and used the black gesso. And then I tried my oil pastels on there, and I wound up using the Mungio Aquarelle oil pastels and then the Paul Rubin in white. And I just went around with my finger after applying purples, blues, and then whites, and just circular motions. You can still see some of the black gesso underneath, but that was intentional. And then after that, I used a workable fixative over the page twice. And then I needed to go in and do redo the metallic flip markers for the hair. And then after I did that, I was like, it's still not complete. And so I was like, it needs some stars. It's a galaxy girl now. And so I wound up using bleed proof white and watered it down a little bit and used a fan brush. Both ends, actually. I get some on the end and tap, and then also use this. And then I also used, I purchased these on Amazon. I'm going to show them in the next haul that I have. It's a Transin dual tip acrylic marker, and you have a dot end, oops, and a brush end. And that's what I wound up drawing in the little stars and things, and if I needed any more dots, because a lot of the dots were small coming from that fan brush. So yeah, this was really a really good find, so I'll show you all those in my next haul-ish video. Not too many things, this next one probably. So yeah, that's how it turned out. It's my altered page, and it's extremely hard to photograph on Instagram. It just doesn't, you really have to flip the book, even though I did do a video with lighting. So yeah, I'm happy with it the way it is, but it definitely, struggle bus. It was a struggle, but it's an untouched book that has a page in it. I will say I got some ink over here, and then the back of this page is just, it's fixable maybe. And then it bled a little bit into here. Those were the metallic flip markers, I'm pretty sure. And a little bit of gesso. So who knows, she might get rid of her address too. Oh yeah, and then I think I showed you all that this one went through here. But yeah, that's okay. We live and learn. And I pushed through, and I went ahead and finish that up so I don't have to think about it anymore. And then I did one in Enchanted Earth, Coloring Journey by Melpomene Chatsu Pengjitu. That's always tough for me to say. Some of you roll it off your tongue, and I'm so impressed. So this is the one that I did from this book, and this was the Sarah Renee Cube 193 that I used. And here was the chart that I gave myself based upon the card. And the only thing that I added was the pinks. And I wound up using Ohuhu alcohol markers. I'll show you. Now for perforated pages, I put a piece of washi tape on the back so that I don't deal with tearing, because somehow I'm hard on my books. But that's a tip for you, especially if you're using water mediums. The Neocolor 2 background and the Spectrum Noir metallic flip marker is also in here, and that's in the gold, and you'll see I splattered it around the background as well. And Stabilo fine liners, as well as Posca and Funzel acrylic white. I think it turned out nice. I really enjoyed doing this page. I'm so happy. I actually wound up using a red and an orange too. Actually, that's that RP1. So I added an orange. So then I carried it here a couple places too. But yeah, I think it all turned out nice. I love doing this. I also have another way of trying to plan some pages that I've been doing as well. Something very similar to what Elm Colors has shared that she does. I do something a little different where I choose an effect on a blank page and it will give you, let's say, like pop art or whatever, and it puts those colors into the page in PixArt, and then I'll tweak it from there. It gives me an idea, then I can go in to Canva and put that picture in, and then it allows me to pick colors, a palette basically based on the photo. So if you're interested in anything like that, then do let me know. But yeah, I think this page turned out nice. I'm really happy with it. And it's much easier when you have these palettes and you're not having to figure out what is it you're going to do. I find that very helpful. And this one also gets a removal, a ceremonious removal. Okay, next one. Now, I was hoping to bring my granddaughter along for today's video, but I gave her a call yesterday and she didn't have a chance to do our buddy colors. She was very busy and she's having her bedroom totally redone. So she's been busy helping her parents paint and all of the good things that happen when you do that, and having to clear out, reorganize, plus very busy with school. You know, I was very sad that she didn't get to buddy with me, but I do understand, of course. So I did do a color, sorry, this is Little Corner by Coco Wayo. Hello. I wound up using this 381 Sarah Renee Clark, and here are my swatches. It turned out okay. I think the concept that I was doing was using the gray over the area that I wasn't going to show light coming in, and then you put all of your colors over it and it mutes them, and then you just have your brighter colors in the middle. I think the only part where I just didn't care for what I did was when I put the Posca on the cat bed and the cat tree, because it looks a little silly. I was thinking that I was making it look fluffy, but I did not execute that well. So there's that page. And then the second one we were to do was this one. And this is Color Cube 384. It's not too far from the previous one. 381 and 384, they're pretty close. So I wound up taking a couple of the colors from the first one. And I found the palette very limited. Sometimes, you know, that's a good thing. It can be a bad thing. I have Ohuhu alcohol markers, by the way, and Copics, and anything that wound up, or Cali Arts. I think I have a blend here of what I used. But yeah, strictly alcohol marker, having fun, trying to do some of the effects, you know, that I've seen. I don't have TikTok, by the way, so I don't know all the to the length of the things, but I gave it a decorated background in here on the shelving, and then I did a little pattern on the bedspread or blanket. What else? I have a little bit of Posca in here. I was just going to have some white flicks, and then that didn't look right, so I went in with 2 different colors on the bunny. Yeah, it's not a fantastic page. Just kind of getting used to working in detailed pages and then going to one of these, you almost feel stumped. I don't know if anybody else has felt that way, but yeah, they both turned out pretty cute. And it's another book that I've touched, and that makes me super happy. And hopefully we'll get our girl back, my granddaughter, to coloring when it's a little more peaceful for her. All right, next one is Rowan, and this is did I do a three-part series of me coloring in this book. It's Rowan's Mongol Daily Girl by Rowan. And this is the page that I did. And I used all different kinds of pastel markers. I had Brute Funer, Holbein, Uli. Did I say Uli? And I think I wound up using a few Prisma or Polychromos there towards the end. But I think I got a pretty good likeness. Let's see if I can take the shine away for you. All the wax. I hope those of you that watched this video did enjoy it and have fun. I certainly had fun seeing the progress myself in the videos, and a page down in the Rowan book, and I'm really, really happy with it. I think just the pastels, and it's a wintry scene with snow. It just is my jam, and I think I got pretty close to the illustrator, and that was my intention. So, yep, finished this page in Rowan. That was a whip for quite a while. And she can also have this sticker taken off. All right, that was Rowan. The next book that I worked out was this watercolor book. And this is Landscapes with Flowers by Karlzon. And I did the VW page. And I had a red VW that I gave to my daughter. And so I decided to go different than the yellow. And I kind of kept the tree similar, but not the same. And I used Rosa Gallery watercolors. And I'll just bring it up a little bit so you can see. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, especially with the sky. I love to do skies. And the tree was fun. All of this was fun. This here is too dark in contrast to the others, but that's okay. I also have some Posca highlights here that I put in the windows and down here on the road area. But very happy that I got one done out of this book here. It's a beautiful book. Absolutely love her style of illustration, and I love watercolor. And the paper is so good. Look, you have 2 more opportunities to do it. So yes, Karlzon, Landscape with Flowers. I think I've worked out of all her books now. And then I did a buddy color in this Lady Garden or Garden Lady by Lana Grain. And that was with Christine that I did the buddy color with. And I used Luminance for the whole page, Luminance pencils. And I'll just tip it so you don't get the wax bloom. Pretty straightforward. I wanted to deviate from the picture, so I gave her teal and turquoise hair, as mine is currently, and blue. And she has more of a greenery, like thorny thing, and I just made it black to match the gloves and the undershirt. And I did mimic mostly the outfit here on the sleeves, And then, of course, the roses. But yeah, I deviated in the hair. And Christine's, I'll put over here. I love how hers turned out. And she did a nice little background. Thank you, Christine, for coloring with me. We decided to break open this Untouched book and do this page. And I'm super happy we did. And I enjoyed using the luminance pencils, but I forgot how much you have to work in those pencils. At least I think so. Even though they're kind of I would say more of a buttery feel. It seems like you have to work harder to get what it is that you want out of them. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it could be even the combination of paper. But it went well overall. And I'm very happy that we did this page. So Christine, thank you so much for buddying with me. I appreciate you. And Fairy Tales and Folklore, Deb and Jackie and I did a buddy color in here. And it was this page. This page here. Now, when I first looked at this page, this was an empty sign. And I thought, you know, how cute, you know, with the suitcases. As I was coloring it, I started thinking of my dad. And so on the sign, I put missing you, Dad. And the other reason is that for the last 2.5 years, when I used to fly down to Florida, it was always a potential goodbye because he had the issues that he did health-wise. And so the suitcases kind of reminded me of all of my trips. And obviously there was, he passed in December. And so it's been a few months, but it still stings. But I was happy to do this page because it was basically an expression of the emotion that I was feeling from the page. I don't get that quite a bit. Coloring takes me away mentally, but this one drew me in. So, love you, Dad. I sure do miss you. But I wound up using Neocolor 2s, Prismacolor pencils, oil pastels, because I wanted to make it like a vintage photo, a vignette. And then Posca White acrylic marker, a Hoo Hoo glitter gold, Jelly Roll glitter, and distress inks. And so I did distress inks and then the oils over it. And I think it turned out cute. And here are the Deb was not able to finish her page, which is no worries, no problems. But here is Jackie's. I'll put hers here. So yeah, really enjoyed doing this page, and thank you so much, Jackie, for suggesting that I participate with you on this, and Deb, and who knows, we might see this book next month again. And then last but not least, this is a book that I bought, gosh, a few years ago. It's Make Stuff with Stories, and it's from, I'll put it on the screen, their YouTube channel. And this was the front page that I never did finish, but it was a little owl with a hat with glasses. I said, let the fun begin. And this was, okay, so it's September 20th, 2022. And I put no limits in art. And that was it. But this month, I decided I was going to break open, it's 500 pages in here, that I was going to do something like this. I just took my Neocolor 2 crayons, and I wound up taking some inspiration from Art by Heather. I'll put her YouTube channel in the description. And by the way, anyone that I mention, anyone I buddy color with, I always link their accounts, their pages, Instagram or whatever. Or if they have a YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out. But anyway, Art by Heather, she uses Stabilos, Neocolor 2s. I have the Lyra Aquarelle, and she just does these, you know, scribbly kind of things, and then you see what you find in the image. And so I wanted to show you that's how these next ones evolved. I have I'll cover this one because it might be distracting. This one wound up looking like a skunk to me. So I just did a skunk and a fun little tree. Absolutely like juvenile and silly, but that's what I needed for some days that I was struggling to color. And then this one over here wound up resembling the looks of a cat, and then there was these two areas, so it looks, it's okay, looks like a window and a cat in it. So I didn't finish up this one, but it's nice to, first of all, use the Neocolor 2s both wet, dry. I also have the Neocolor ones. And, what else was I gonna... Tim Holtz Distress Crayons. Those are a recent purchase. And so I want to use this 500 pages to do stuff just like this. And I don't care if it's upside down or, you know, like you see I started like several pages in. Somebody left the house and he's not happy. He's howling. So anyway, this is how it starts out. It's just scribbles, 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 scribbles. And then you see if you find something familiar in a shape and then go from there. So this is where I tried it out. And you don't have to like make sure that you get your Neocolors all blended out. You just put color to paper and it's just winds up being very relaxing and fun. So I did that and I'll continue to do that because it's something that's very soothing to do. All right, everybody, I think that's it. I'll have my coloring plans up soon. I'm excited for this next month of coloring, and I hope you all are doing well. It was a difficult month for me medically. I'm having some struggles, some autoimmune flares, and things that doctors are confused by, so they're making me do a lot of tests to try to make themselves less confused. So I've been doing a lot of that and then resting in between. And so I will not try to put myself in the mix of having like 50 pages. And I would love to. So many times if I have to lay in bed for one ailment or another and I want to color, I can't always color in bed because I'm just very flimsy with my materials. I wind up dropping the pencils on the illustration, and then in fact, I did that in Lady Garden, tried to erase it. It wouldn't come off. It's just, you know, overall it was a decent coloring month, but I'm finding it sometimes difficult to manage the time that I have when I feel well to match the energy of wanting to color, because I want to color all the time. I'd like to take each one of my Untouched books and just sit down and do a page and do a page and do a page, but my body just won't let me do it. And so that's the reality that we have. And you know, I got to spend time with Shmoo. He likes to be in the art room, but we have to take a lot of breaks and make sure that he's getting played with and all that good stuff, which is always a joy to do. But anyway, I hope you all had a great coloring month in March. I hope you have an even better one in April. And you all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye now. Happy coloring!